Welcome back to the Thinking Habit. Today, I have the honor of sitting down with a truly powerful and inspiring woman whose story embodies resilience, love, and the courage to keep dreaming, no matter what life throws your way. She's a single mother to a beautiful daughter named Gracie, who was diagnosed with Shwachman-Diamond Syndrome at just 8 years old, a rare and serious bone marrow disorder that impacts multiple organs, including the pancreas, the lungs, and the blood. Despite the challenges, she never stopped showing up. She put her dreams on pause to work full time and give her daughter the care she needed. But deep down, she never gave up on her love for writing. And one day she decided, why not? That decision led her to becoming a published author, and today we're celebrating that journey. She's the author of the children's book, Super Gracie and Little J Save the Amusement Park, a beautiful tribute to her daughter's strength and imagination. Please welcome to the show today my good friend Jessica Dean.
Thank you, Marisol. Thank you for having me too. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm happy to have you here on board with us today. We're talking about a beautiful journey that you've gone through. And so I want to start with just talking about when things started for you with Gracie. When you found out that you got this diagnosis, what belief do you think you had to rewire to get through all of this without losing yourself?
When I had the diagnosis, I already kind of knew something was going on with her.
Mm-hmm.
I was just relieved that we finally had a diagnosis so we know where to go. But when she started getting sick all the time and I started having to leave work and almost lost my job, almost lost my housing, trying to figure her situation out, and she was hospitalized all the time, I just started, I went into fight or flight mode, like what's going on. And I was in such fear. I was in such fear. But as I started learning about her diagnosis, I started researching, and that's what helped me to cope with it. The rewiring, it just took time. Like all the isolations at Children's Hospital, all the times that we had to stay at the hospital, I just learned to cope in different ways. And for me, it was writing. It was writing about how I'm feeling, writing about, I wrote poetry, I wrote everything. I wrote stories, I wrote how I'm feeling, wrote journals. And that was my coping mechanism. And as she got older and I started, we just started getting used to it. I mean, you're never really used to this, but, I started having a bag packed and in the back of my car so that we can just rush off to the hospital instead of trying to scavenger and trying to get everything that we need for the hospital, because I never know how long we're going to be there. So I always pack for like 5 days at least. And it was a hard journey. And so rewiring my brain with that, I had to start telling myself it's going to be okay,
Right.
and I had to not future trip, because that seems to be a thing that I do, probably a lot of people.
Right.
I think about what ifs, what if she is diagnosed with cancer, because that is a reality for her. She gets checked for leukemia every 3 months, and it is a reality for her. So, we're having a bone marrow biopsy soon. But the thing is that it's knowing that I have to be in today, and it's knowing that I have to be in today with her. And when I'm in today with my daughter, when I'm in the moment of whatever moment I'm in with her, I try to like enjoy my moments with her, because I have to tell myself that, I could be gone tomorrow. I never know.
Right.
She could be gone tomorrow. So I always just stay grateful in the day that I'm in today. And that's what I do today. But when I got the diagnosis, I can't say that that was my life. I had to
Yeah.
learn throughout the years.
I can only imagine how a person would not know what the future would be. Very, very scary, very fearful, just finding out about a diagnosis like that. So going through all of this, what do you think Gracie herself has taught you about strength, about love, that no book or no mentor could ever teach you?
Oh, God. When I think about that, honestly, like she's helped inspire me. Like
Yeah.
let's just say that she's taught me more than I feel like I could teach her. She is so resilient. She does not let her, like, people, if I didn't say anything, people would not even know about the diagnosis. Like, she doesn't talk about it. She's so resilient. She doesn't complain about her life. That's just who she is, right?
Right.
And when she was in isolation, I can recall one time where, you know, she's like lost being able to go to like 3 or 4, probably 4, I think it is, 4 different camps that she was invited to. But this one particular camp, she met her bunk buddy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And her bunk buddy and her were so excited about, you know, like, okay, we're gonna be bunk buddies and we're gonna have fun and enjoy it. Well, Gracie was crying when she the night before the camp, she was with a high fever and I had to rush her to Children's. And of course, we needed to stay because what's called febrile neutropenia, her cells were way too low to fight whatever was going on with her. So she was crying. And I said, I'm so sorry that you had to miss camp. I'm really sorry. But, and she's like, that's not why I'm crying. And I looked at her, I'm like, well, then why are you crying? And she goes, because my bunk buddy is not going to have anybody.
She wasn't even thinking about herself, right?
Right. And that's the thing about Gracie is she doesn't think about herself. You know, like that moment I thought, wow, this kid, like, you know, she's always been that way though. But this kid, and I taught her to share, you know, I taught her like, okay, now give it back to me, now give it back to you. Like I taught her all of that. But you can't teach this stuff. Like, you know, sometimes you're just destined when you're born, you're just destined with something. And that's how I feel about Gracie, you know. And another story, really quick, is we knew that the little girl next door to us had cancer and she was fighting leukemia, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Gracie couldn't leave her room. But the leukemia girl could because at the time she didn't have the cells were okay enough to leave the room. But Gracie decided, because they came in and said, what toy do you want? And she wanted to pick out a toy for her. And she wrote a little note saying, I'm thinking about you. This is your next door neighbor. And I just want you to know that I'm here for you. And it melted my heart. And she taught me to be giving no matter what situation we're in, to
Right.
think of others, you know? And that I think is what keeps her going. When she's thinking of others, when she's hurting, she starts thinking about others, you know? And that comes naturally to her. I had to learn that. I mean, I, I was like that as a kid, but as an adult, I had to relearn that again, you know, because sometimes life just hits you so hard and then you just, I don't know, become bitter or not bitter, but,
Consumed. You
you know,
become
sometimes when life
consumed.
hits,
Yeah, with everything that happens to
exactly.
you. And it sounds
Right. So
like,
she taught me that.
yeah, it sounds like for her, it's she's not defined by her illness, which is
Mm-mm.
amazing for somebody her age.
No.
She's
No.
not defined by it. She's living like every day is truly her last day. Could be her last day. I think she's more in the present moment than most people that are not going
Yeah.
through what she's going through,
Can
which
I
is
tell you
amazing.
something?
Yeah, go
Can
for
I
it.
tell you something? And she did say that I can mention this to anybody I wanted to mention to. And I know this is a podcast, but this is something I'm writing about. She gave me permission to write about. And I'm gonna write a book on her diagnosis, and then I'm also writing a book on this part. So she comes up to me one day and she gives me this list. And she goes, Mom, this is my bucket list in case I die or in case I get diagnosed with cancer. And it broke my heart, of course.
Right, right.
My heart was like, I wanted to cry, but I'm like, I knew I couldn't cry in front of her right at that moment, right? So what I told her is, I'm like, you know what, Gracie, we're not waiting for a diagnosis. And number one, you're not going to be diagnosed. We're going to put out there to the universe that you're not going to be diagnosed with cancer. I said, but if you happen to, I'd be happy to do all of this for you. But we're going to do this before any of that ever happens. Why not start now?
Right, right.
And that's what she's teaching me. It's like I just looked at that. I'm like, why are we not living our dreams or our goals or aspirations? Why are we not doing it now? So I started knocking everything off the list, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm setting things up for the future for this so-called list. And this bucket list is just amazing. It's like hugging a wolf. Okay, so we did that already. So
Nice,
she got to
really.
hug a wolf. Yeah.
Wow.
And just watching her happiness and her joy on that
Mm-hmm.
made me so happy. Like it was like tears of joy to be able to see that. And we're not going to wait for a diagnosis to live life. And
No.
that's that book that I'm going to come out with is, you know, why wait until you die to live? You know, why wait to live?
Yeah.
You know, why not live your life now?
Now
Like,
the
you
present
know,
moment is all we have.
we're in this like little
Exactly.
bubble, right? And why are we going to stay in this little bubble? Why not like just expand our horizons, you know?
Exactly.
And she's also taught me, like, you know, when she was younger, when I first started when I first started writing the book, she gave me an idea about it because she was like very little. She wasn't even talking yet, but she put up her hand like this and goes shh, like she's flying, like
Mm-hmm.
Superman.
Mm-hmm.
So I go super baby. So then I'm like, okay, super baby's taken. So super Gracie. So that's how I came up with it. Yeah. So Gracie, she comes up to me and she's like, what, like about 9 years old?
Mm-hmm.
And she tells me, Mom, why aren't you writing your children's book? Like, I want that out there. Like, I don't know any of my friends that have a book written about them. And I look at her and I'm like, you know what? Why not? And so she gave me the inspiration to do it. And because I was just sitting on it, I was so busy working, taking care of her, and it was just, I had no time for it. Right.
Right.
Or at least I said that to myself because I put it aside because I'm like, I just don't have the time. So I finally just did it. I finally just started, doing it. And then that's when I met this wonderful woman, Shari, on the Shwachman-Diamond Syndrome Facebook group,
Mm-hmm.
and she was talking about wanting to be an illustrator, and so it was like both of our dreams coinciding together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And her son goes through the same thing that my daughter goes through. They have different parts of Shwachman-Diamond syndrome that affect them, but they both go through pretty much the same thing. So we both said, why not? She's like, okay, I'll start getting to the drawings. And we just started collaborating and then I brought little Jay, who's her son's John C. So we call him little Jay. And I brought him into the book. And so I just revised it and with all these revisions and everything else. It was so amazing. It just kind of flowed together. We just, it was the most amazing experience of my life is basically getting back into my dream and saying, okay, I'm going to make this happen. And it was like one foot in front of the other, right? And
Right.
that's all I could do. Like, okay, what's the next step? What's the next one? Okay, let's publish it on Amazon. I did all of my research, right? And Amazon was the best that because I submitted to all these different publishing companies and a lot of them wanted money. And I'm like, okay, you want money? I can't do it, you know? But I was like, I'm going to self publish and I'm going to figure out how to promote myself. So yeah, that's how it happened.
That's how it went down. How do you think that writing Super Gracie and Little J, like how do you think that became part of your healing and your purpose at the same time?
I've had this dream of being a writer since I was 6 years old, right? I
Mm-hmm.
wrote on this typewriter and I've always wanted to do it. I've always kind of isolated myself and wrote my fantasy stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
And writing this book has given me so much inspiration to like continuously so I've been told my whole life to be realistic, right? What makes you think you're going to be a writer? Be realistic, get a 9 to 5 job, do this, do that. Well, I mean, I look at other authors out there and I'm like, how do they do it? And I researched them and I saw their story and I said, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. And writing this children's book has helped me heal because I got the chance to go out and do this fun interactive story for kids, right? And have fun with it. And I get to make it be something that I've always wanted. So like any character, like I want to be a superhero, right? So I make my character a superhero. So I get to go on this journey with them. And that's how I do it. Like I get to go on this journey with them. And in that I heal and I become a superhero. And not to say that I'm like a real superhero, but I get to be super mom. I get to be that superhero to my daughter, that she looks up to. And I get to be a superhero to myself saying, I did it. I did this. I overcame that. My head will tell me that I'm not good enough. My head will also tell me that what makes you think that you can do this and that you can be out there? What makes you think that you're worthy of it? My head will tell me that. And all I know to do is to ignore those thoughts and tell myself, you can do it.
And you can,
Failure,
because you did. You did it.
exactly. As long as you're constantly trying, you're not failing. You could fail however many different ways, but if finally the 100th time, you're going to get it. And it just takes that one moment to make a difference.
That one little spark, that little belief. I just want to bring up the fact that when we used to work together, this was like
That was fun.
12, maybe even close to 15 years ago, you would always talk about writing. And so I am just so happy that you finally wrote your book, because I remember you saying that you were a script writer, that you were a writer, and one day you were going to write a book. And I am beyond happy, but also like just so happy that you followed that dream and you made it a reality, because for so many years you were surviving and doing the best you could for Gracie and yourself. And I think that that is a great and huge accomplishment and testament of your courage and your strength, is that you finally published that book, and you put your dreams on hold for so long. And then what do you think was the moment that you said yes to yourself? Where did that moment come from? Was it Gracie's inspiration?
Yes.
It was her
You
inspiration.
know, I looked at her when she told me, Mom, why aren't you writing your book? Why aren't you doing this? I looked at her and I'm like thinking, you know what? I need to do this not just for myself, but I need to do this to show her that go for your dreams, go for whatever it is that you want. Because I always taught her, like, whatever you want to be, inspired to be that person. And don't let anybody tell you you can't do that, right? Don't let anybody tell you you can't be that. But who am I to tell her that when I'm stopping my dream and I'm
Right.
not pursuing mine? Who am I to tell her she's looking up to me and looking at me thinking, well, how come you're not doing yours? She knows I want to be a writer, right? She knew I wanted to be a writer.
She knew that.
She knew that. So when she asked me that, and that was 9 years old, that was after her diagnosis, I looked at her and I'm like, you're right. You're right. So I made it happen. I said, okay, let's do these illustrations. Okay, let's get this uploaded to Amazon. Okay, we're running into a snag. That's okay. This is a little bump in the road. Let's do it. So we had somebody help us, and then we navigated through it, made sure it looked good, and then we published it. And it didn't stop there, because I can't just publish it and say, okay, to my friends, here you go, my book's available for sale, right? Later on in life, I just decided, why am I not going out there and trying to do book signings? That was my dream, to be a book writer, right? And it was my dream to go out there and like have book signings. So I've had 3 since then, and all successful in their own way. But let me tell you, the part that makes it really wonderful to me is the fact that I did it. Nobody could show up, but the fact that I ended up being there and doing this and promoting myself and overcoming the I'm not good enough, because that's what I kept telling myself every single time. Even the day of, I wanted to cancel the whole thing because my head was telling me, you're not good enough. What makes you think that people will want to suit up and show up for you?
Right.
But I
That little
overcame that.
critic. Yeah, the
Yeah,
critic's always there.
exactly. I'm my own worst critic, right?
Exactly.
But,
Most people
and I would
are.
say, oh, it's just a stupid little book. Nobody's going to show up. Nobody's going to want to do it. But my last book signing was amazing. Amazing. And when I was able to tell Gracie's story to people, it just sparked something that they're like, okay, let me buy 2, let me buy 3. But it's Gracie's inspiration that brought me to my knees. And it was Gracie's inspiration. Like, Gracie, she's so admirable. And I'm not just saying that because she's my daughter. I mean, a lot of people think the same thing about her. She's so admirable. Like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it for her, but I'm also going to do it for myself. But I'm mostly going to do it for her. And
Right. She's your inspiration. And I think she's very inspiring at such a young age.
right,
She's a true inspiration to a lot of people. She doesn't let anything, I mean, not even her illness define her. And
right.
she's pushing that energy onto you, like it's oozing out of her onto you so you can accomplish your dreams. So on the accomplishment of your dreams, what is like one thing that you would be able to tell other women out there who've buried their dreams under responsibility and fear, or maybe another mother who might be just starting that journey at the beginning of a diagnosis, which is very scary? What advice would you give these people?
Don't give
Because
up.
you've overcome it, that you've overcome so many challenges. What would Gracie advise them, right? What would she say to them?
Well, my advice would be, don't give up. Keep going. Gracie would say the same thing because she's like identical to me. She really is like a clone of me.
Yeah.
But we would both say don't give up. Me and Gracie are actually we're dabbling on just writing stories together and becoming a duo like the Dean Girls. And
That's impressive.
yeah,
So
the
she's a
Dean
writer
production.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's a writer
she
too.
loves writing. Yeah. And I've already like done the signature, the
Mm-hmm.
Dean Productions. But, I would say, if anything, don't overload yourself because the moment that you start putting too much on your plate, you're going to start feeling like a failure. Do one little thing at a time.
One goal at a
Maybe this
time.
week,
Yeah.
maybe this week you decide, okay, I'm going to do research on what websites I'm going to post my book on. Or maybe next week you're going to say, okay, how can I find small, odd jobs to start saving money for my dream? Still keep that. One thing that I will say, keep that day job for right now, you know, but aspire to do your dream on the side,
Exactly.
but don't ever quit just to pursue it, unless you have the means to do it.
Yeah.
And if you have the means to do it, just go for it. And my whole thing is don't listen to the worst critic, which is yourself. Don't listen to that. You can do it. If you just put your mind to, you can do anything, honestly.
We are our worst we are our own worst critic. We will hold ourselves back because we listen to that little inner critic. And so,
Like, look at you,
yes,
look at you. Here you are doing your podcast you've always wanted to do.
I am my worst critic, girl. I'm always telling myself it's not perfect, right? And it will never be perfect.
No.
So you just have to take those steps. You have to take those steps to make your dreams come true. You have to pursue them. So right now, like when you imagine your future, now you're saying Gracie's a writer too. For you and Gracie, where do you see this going? You're both going to just start continuing the story of little Gracie and Super J?
No, actually, we both are into horror movies. Sorry to say if you don't like horror, but we're into
Really?
psychological thriller movies. So we're actually both trying to get into writing horror movies.
Wow.
And yeah, we're building characters right now. We're just we're dabbling in it. We're having fun with it. And that's the thing is you see your future, right? And it's okay to see your future, but don't sit in that future. Enjoy the process because the
Right.
process is the best part about it. The learning and growing from it, because when I was making mistakes and then I was correcting my mistakes and then I was, it was the best journey. And then I felt good about myself. And once I started getting used to it, I'm like, okay, well, okay, the next book is not going to be as, I'm still going to do work on children's books,
Mm-hmm.
but really, I don't know, like psychological thrillers, rom-coms. I'm just going to figure out where my niche is. This is just the beginning of my journey.
It's just the
And
beginning.
yeah,
That's
and
what I
I,
always say. This is just the beginning. It's
yeah.
gonna get better. And once you start believing on it, there's no limits to where you
And the
can
more
go.
you do, the more little mini successes
Mm-hmm.
that you do, the better you feel about yourself. So it's
Exactly.
the little wins that make a difference, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. Wow.
Like doing this
Amazing stuff. Yes, amazing stuff. Book. As soon as you posted that you have published your book, I went out and bought it myself. I'm so happy for you that you did this book. And it's such a great book that when I have grandkids, I will be reading this book to my grandkids. Like that, I
Thank you.
bought it with that intention. Like I don't have little kids right now, but I was like, my grandkids are going to read this book because my friend wrote it,
Right.
and
Thank
that's
you.
inspiring. It's so inspiring. So provide us some information as to where people can get your book.
So it's on Amazon, and you can look up Super Gracie and Little J and then put in Jessica Dean and it'll start popping up. But also, the link has been on your website. You
Yes,
can
and I'll be posting the
People can
link.
click on the link.
I'll be putting a link with the video so people can purchase the book
Mm-hmm.
from my video as well. So we'll be providing that to my viewers. And also,
Okay.
it's also going to be on my website for sure.
Okay.
So, yes, I am so glad you were here with us today, Jessica.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Marisol.
No problem. And I know that you'll be back.
Yeah,
We have
thank
so
you.
much to talk about. You're such an inspiring person.
I appreciate
So we have so much to talk about, so much adversity we've gone through that we can talk to our viewers about, that they can learn from. It's great information. So again, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you. Thank
And
you for having me.
no problem. I hope you're back soon.
I
So,
will be.
for anybody that's interested, again, I'll post the link for Jessica's book on this video. And then make sure you subscribe to our The Thinking Habits and like our video. Make sure you share it with your friends and family, especially if you know somebody that is going through the same diagnosis as Jessica and Gracie. It's valuable information that they could learn from this video. Again, thanks, Jessica, and
Thank you.
thanks to our viewers for staying with us and joining us.